Welcome to the CAD 1160 Basic to Advanced Revit course. We will be using Blackboard, and I've posted a video explaining how to navigate through Blackboard, and we'll be using this book, Commercial Design Using Autodesk Revit Architecture 2012. All of my information is here. Please don't hesitate to keep in touch. We also have an outline that's detailed for each week. It's based on the lessons in the book, although I will be changing those. You could use the lessons to practice, and a video will be posted each week what will be required in the assignments. For this class, you can use Revit Architecture 2009, 10, 11, 12, or 13. They all look basically the same for what we're going to be working with. I will be using 12, which is the same as what the book follows. And you have the choice of downloading that version. Take a look at the video that I created explaining how to download Revit Architecture from the Autodesk website. It's probably better if you download Revit Architecture 2012 because 2013 just released last month, and if you open a file with 2013, it saves it as 2013 and you won't be able to open it with a 2012 application like we have on campus and the one that I'm using for these videos. We'll start with understanding the user interface and then build a small model and talk about Revit features. So the first thing we'll do is pick New under Projects. Here you can open a project, create a new one, or select one of your recent files that you've had open. So we'll go ahead and pick New. When you first download Revit, the Properties palette is on the left-hand side. You have a Properties palette and you have a Project Browser. You can hold your left mouse button down on this bluish-gray strip next to the word Properties and drag that Properties palette out into the working area, and then hold your left mouse button down and continue to pull it to the right hand side until it changes its shape. Let go so that you can dock it on the right hand side. This way you can see all of what's in the project browser on the left hand side and all of what's in the properties on the right hand side. Revit Architecture looks very similar to the AutoCAD interface in that we have a ribbon across the top with tabs and a quick access toolbar at the very top left with some of the common features. We also have the big purple R in the top left you can click on to get to commands like New, Open, and Save, and any of your recent files that you may have opened that will be here in this list. You can actually click on this little push pin to keep the file in this list if you're using it all the time. Let's start by saving this file as Assignment 1 with your name in the Revit file name. So at the top you'll see the little floppy disk icon that you can use to save the file, or you can pick on the big purple R and go to Save. Navigate to the folder that you'd like to save the file in and rename the file name here by clicking on Project 1 to Assignment 1 and then your name. And you'll see that it's saving it as a project file with an extension .rvt, which is our Revit file. Also, if you pick Options right here, as you're saving the file, you can control how many backups of this same file are created. Sometimes having 3 backups is way too many. So I'll just go ahead and put 1 in the maximum backups and then pick OK. And then I'll pick Save. The project browser here on the left-hand side shows several views that we can work within. So we'll start by drawing on level 1. And you'll see at the top of your screen Assignment 1 with your name, .rvt, floor plan level 1. So let's go ahead and click on the wall icon. You'll notice that the ribbon changes and you have what's called an options bar. The options bar is going to show you nested features within the Revit tools. So for instance here we can establish the height of our wall. It can be unconnected or it can go to different levels. So for now, let's go ahead and click on level 2. We're starting at level 1 and we're going to make a wall that goes to level 2. If you look in the properties palette, you'll get information about the wall that you're going to draw. This area here is called a type selector, where you can click on that type selector and decide on a different type of wall. We'll go ahead and continue using the basic wall, generic 8-inch. So let's go ahead and pick a point anywhere. Pull your mouse to the right and see that you can graphically see the numbers changing. And at this point, you can type in 50 feet. Now remember that we're going to be using the little apostrophe that's next to the enter key. In Revit, if you don't type the feet in and you just typed in 50, it would be 50 feet. In AutoCAD, when you type in 50, it's 50 inches. So in Revit, remember that you'll need to type in the inches all the time, or the default without inches or feet is going to be feet. So pull your mouse down and type in 50 or 50 feet and enter. Pull your mouse to the left and you'll see this kind of tracking vector that tells you where the end is and how it will line up with the first wall that you created. So you can just click and pull your mouse up and click. Now at this point you have a choice to end a command. You can either escape using the escape key, you can right click and pick cancel, or you can use up here in the top left the modify button, which will help you to cancel out of the commands. I'll go ahead and click modify. We drew 4 walls and we drew them within these elevation markers. These elevation markers, squares with triangles, will establish for you a view that's towards the different sides of this wall. So over in the project browser, if I double click on east, I'll be able to look at the east elevation. And here you can use the wheel of your mouse like we do in AutoCAD to roll the wheel up and down for zoom, or hold the wheel down for pan. And you'll see that here's the default. Level 1 is at 0 and level 2 is at 10 feet. If you don't have a wheel on your mouse, which I would recommend that you get one, you can use this navigation bar here on the right hand side to click on this 2D wheel. The wheel itself will be at the end of your pointer. You'll have zoom, rewind, which is sort of like previous views, and pan. If you hold your left mouse button down on zoom, you can move your mouse and zoom, or hold your left mouse button down on pan to pan around. The rewind will bring you back several previous views, and when you're done using this 2D wheel, you can click on this little X here on the wheel. Also in the View tab under User Interface, you'll have here check marks that will turn on and off this navigation bar, which is one of these user interface tools. We can go back to level 1 by double clicking here in the project browser on level 1. Some people will use Control Tab. If you hold your Control key down and press the Tab key, you can tab through the different views that you have open. And just to show you here, if we go to the View tab at the top, we have the different tabs like Home and Insert, but if you click on View, and over in the Windows panel, if we pick Tile, notice that if you rest your pointer on that tile icon, you'll see that the shortcut for this tile window is WT. So I'll go ahead and click on it, and notice that now you have the two views open side by side. If you pick inside one of these window or views, you'll see that the top part becomes darker, making it active. And if you'd like to zoom all the windows to like a zoom extents, you can type in ZA, and by typing in ZA, you'll notice that both sides show you everything in that view. There are 3 different ways of showing the 3D view. You can click on here the little house icon in the quick access toolbar. You can also pick in the View tab this house icon, and when we do that, either these two ways, you can click on the house that's in the Quick Access toolbar. You'll notice that a third window appears, and in the project browser we have our 3D view. Let's close the east elevation by clicking here the red X, and then we'll pick tile again. In the View tab here under Windows, we can pick tile. So now what we have is we have the 3D view next to the floor plan view. If we pick in the floor plan view and then in the Home tab select door, you may be asked periodically to save the project. So I'll go ahead and pick save, and I picked the door icon, and now notice that we have the options bar. The ribbon changes with some of the editing tools towards the right hand side. We have the properties palette that shows the properties for the door, and we have a few default doors which we'll be customizing and loading other additional doors as we start to look at more advanced features. So for now we'll use the default, and in the floor plan, if you get close enough to your floor plan, you'll be able to see that the door can be placed, and you'll have temporary dimensions showing you the distance between here the wall and the door. If you press the space bar before you click, you'll be able to change the direction of the swing. If I place the door now by left clicking, you'll notice that in the 3D view the door is also placed. We're creating a 3D model that instantly changes, and the book refers to Revit standing for Revise Instantly. A change made in one view is automatically updated in all other views. This is the concept of working with BIM, building information modeling, that we'll be talking about throughout the semester. Revit will automatically place a door tag here close to the door. If you'd like to turn off the display of that door tag, you can select it by left clicking on the door tag, right click, and pick Hide in View Category. All of the door tags will be temporarily turned off. Another way of turning off the elements within the drawing is to type in VG. Typing in VG, you'll have access to the visibility graphic overrides. Here in the annotation category, you'll see door tags is unchecked. We'll come back to these dialog boxes as we start to work with advanced features. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this one, and now in the 3D view I'll go ahead and pick window, and getting close to the 3D view you'll see that there are guidelines for placing a window. I'll just go ahead and pick one here, and when I do that, if you look over here in the floor plan view, you'll see that there is a window placed. A change in one view is automatically updated in all views. Use your escape key to end the command. The concept is that everything is drawn in one model. And also we talk about a parametric building model or modeler, which basically means that if I move this window, the wall automatically becomes updated in both views. We can use these temporary dimensions as we select objects like this window. We can click right inside this dimension and type in a different number, like 35 feet, and see that the window will move automatically. For this assignment, no specific dimensions are required. I can click in space and end the command. Go ahead and place additional doors and windows in your model. When we talk about parameters, we're talking about settings that can be changed within the geometry. If I select a window and I look under properties, there are parameters that we can establish. If we pick edit type. Before we change the default parameters for geometry that comes with Revit, we can pick the duplicate button to create our own window. We can change the name to 24 inches, which is normally the width first, times 36 inches, and then pick OK. And what we're doing is we're creating another window based on that size. We can now pick where it says width and type in 24 inches, and pick where it says height and type in 36 inches. And notice here, when I click out in space, it will by default show the feet. So I just created a new window by picking a duplicate and giving it a name, 24 by 36, and changing the parameters or the dimensions of that window. If I pick apply and OK, you'll be able to see instantly that the window is updated, and you'll be able to see when I click out of here and go back to window that in the type properties we have a new size that I created that's a 24 by 36. Remember that these are all basic features that we'll be working with throughout the semester. This is a basic introduction video for assignment 1.